Hi, we're going to talk about the algebra standards specifically for kinder right now. We'll be talking about the standards and then how do you make them come alive for kids. So there's a little bit of nuanced difference between the states, but in general, there are some big ideas. And one of them is that students know how to represent addition and subtraction. But I want you to notice what they say with objects, fingers, mental images, drawings, sounds, acting out situations, verbal explanations, expressions, or equations. That's 9 ways. I don't see people doing all the 9 ways. So when you are thinking about teaching and developing algebraic thinking with your kids, make sure you're touching on those things. So you're trying to teach your kids how to add and subtract. Make sure you're using those finger representations, right? Have your kids, what is 3 plus 2? What is 5 plus 3, right? What happens when we put those together, right? So I made some cards that I'm going to pull up and show you guys. They're finger representations. And so these are really good because, they have the finger representations and the kids get to see those on the cards. Now, I have tons of cards, but these are one of the sets that I have. And eventually you'll go on to different cards. There's cards that have dice. There's cards that have nothing, just the numbers. There's cards that have number bonds. So, but I want you to think about using these, having kids do it with their fingers and then using the cards. Now, so it says fingers, objects. Get all kinds of objects, right? And have kids adding. Oh, there were 2 markers or 2 blocks, and then we got one more. Use the frames so kids can see. And in some kinders, it's to 10, that where you have their fluent speed, but most kinders, it's to 5. Fluency is to 5, and kids add and subtract within 10. And so also it says objects, but it also says drawings. So you wanna do that, like here's subtraction. Here's Pete the cat's shirt. And I can draw that. Pete the cat had 4 buttons and he lost 2. But I could also make that really big and just make it as a mat. And then I could have buttons. And I can say Pete the cat had all these buttons on his shirt. Maybe he had 5. And he lost 2. How many does he have left? So we could do that with objects, and then we could go to the drawing, and then we could write the expression, and then we could write the equation. Expression, equation. So we just did like 5 of the things. We did concrete, pictorial, abstract, expressions, and equations. So that's 4 of the things right there. And then the verbal explanation explaining what you did. That's 5 of the 9 things right there. So objects, fingers, you could have the kid show it to you on your fingers. Pete the cat had 5. He lost 1. How many does he have left? You could have the kids imagine it. Imagine Pete the cat, and he's got his 5 buttons, and he loses 2. How many are left? Make a picture of that in your head. Now draw that picture. Let's act that out. Let's write the expression. Let's write the equation. Or let's pick the expression that matches that story. Let's pick the equation that matches that story. Sounds. Having kids clap and having kids add or subtract claps that you make. Acting out situations like we just did. And then always, the verbal explanation. So the point here is that adding and subtracting must be interactive. You've got to act this stuff out. Solve addition and subtraction word problems. Well, we were doing it with Pete the Cat. The kids have to solve addition and subtraction word problems in kinder. And they have to do it within 10. And they have to use objects and drawings. So have the templates. That was my template for the shirt. Use a 10 frame. Use a 5 frame. There are only 4 problems that kids have to solve. So kids have to be able to solve in kinder. Add 2. There were 2 marbles. Susie got 1 more. That's an add 2 problem. Take from. There were 5 marbles. And Susie gave away 2. That's a take from. Part whole. There were 3 green marbles and 1 purple marble. That's part whole. And then finally the other problem. There's only one other type of problem that kinders have to solve. And I'm going to show you that problem on this mat. That problem gets a little tricky. So let's take out, you need 2 colors. Let's do 3. There were 3 butterflies. And they were green and orange. Well, 3 of them could have been green, or 2 of them could have been green, and there was 1 orange. Or 1 of them could have been green, and there were 2 orange. Or maybe none of them were green, and there were 3 orange. This is the hardest type of kinder problem to solve. And so there were 3 green and no orange, 2 green and 1 orange, 1 green and 2 orange, 3 green and no orange. 3 orange and no green. So 3 green, 2 green, 1 green, no green. 1 orange, no orange, 1 orange, 2 orange, 3 orange. It's pattern, right? You want kids to be able to recognize the pattern. And so that's the 4th type of kinder problem. And that all falls under operations and algebraic thinking. A lot of 1st and 2nd graders are still grappling with that problem. The next problem is, the next idea is to decompose numbers less than or equal to 10 into pairs in more than one way. And that's why you want a lot of things like this. So you want to say, oh, we had 5. What's a way to take it apart? We could go 1 and 4. I like to do it where kids can see the pattern. We could go 2 and 3. We could go 3 and 2. We could go 4 and 1. We could go 5 and 0. Or we could go 0 and 5. So using the part whole mat, using number bonds, both of those help students to understand. This is the number bond, and this is the part whole mat. To help kids, you do the same thing with this here. This and this, or this and this, right? This and this, or this and this. What are all the possible combinations to put together and break apart 5? And then from any number, find out how many more to 10. And so one of the things that you want to use is you want to use the 10 frame and do a lot of games. There's spinners, and also there's like 10 frame spinners. Those are really good to use. But you say to the kids, oh, there's 2. How many more to 10? So you start with like templates that help guide their thinking and scaffold it. And eventually you take the template away. But you say, oh, there's 3. How many more to 10? Oh, Missy have 5. How many more to 10? Right. So those are, the big standards. And then fluently add and subtract within 5. And that's why you want the 5 frame. And so represent and add objects and subtract them with objects, fingers, mental images, drawing, sounds, acting out situations, verbal explanations, expressions, and equations. I wanted to say all 9 ways. And then solve addition and subtraction word problems. Another thing that I use a lot is word problem templates. I think that's really important to have like word problem templates, and then you can act problems out with your word problem templates. To compose and decompose, so using the part whole and the number bonds. And then from any given number, knowing how many more to 10, so using the 10 frame. And then fluently adding and subtracting within 5, so using the 5 frame. So all of that, get all your manipulatives out. And those are the 5 kind of big ticket items that you want kids to know in terms of developing algebraic thinking. Now, you're going to be doing a lot of other stuff in kinder. You're going to be doing a lot of stuff under counting and cardinality. But in terms of just what's under the algebra standards, those are the 5 big ticket items. All right.